Good morning on an early Saturday. This is our news section. And for those of you who listen to the podcast, welcome to the Crypto Conversion Podcast. As always, it is Brandon, Connor, and Matt. And on this week's episode, we had Mr. Jay Chen from the Light DAO protocol. He is calls himself the captain there. Really good episode. You can just uh, we have some creators on this podcast, and I just really appreciated his level of sincerity in the episode, and he's just very genuine. So I would recommend everybody check that out. He probably has some of the best intentions that I think we've kind of encountered since starting this podcast. Not discrediting anybody else we've had on, but that's just how I felt about it. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were. But I really enjoyed the episode, and his whole story is very it's just a very good witness to the faith for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was a great episode, and we've been trying to get him on for a little while now. So glad we finally were able to make it work with him in the UK. So
Yep.
yeah, early morning.
All right. Well, let's look at some of the top trending stories here. I guess I kind of want to start off with this funny tidbit that's been circling the crypto news space the past couple of weeks, and I didn't preface this to you guys, but I know each of you will have an impression based on the way the NFT markets have gone. But there's been some new financial documents that have that have surfaced that show President Trump is a Ethereum whale. Um, I would assume based on his NFT collection also launching on Solana that he has a significant amount too. But here's where I get really frustrated with the Trump campaign is that it feels like they have basically become a fundraising ploy for his legal fees. You know what I mean? Like with everything that's coming up in the news, and like he tweeted out his mugshot for the first time a couple weeks ago, and the link to the tweet was literally to a landing page to donate to his campaign. It's like they were like they wanted that mugshot more than the mainstream media did so that he could do that. And it is just as a fundraising ploy, same with the NFTs. There's just like he has a cultish following that just will give him money, and I'm just like, this is so stupid. Like, how do you sleep at night being a billionaire, having people who probably can't afford your NFT or crypto in general buy your NFT just to hold it, and then it completely depreciates in value? It is so foolish. Like, you've probably seen the commercials that he's done for his NFT collections. He's done multiple of them now, and then on top of that, like everything that's going on in each of the respective states from a litigation standpoint, they wanted the mugshot. They got the mugshot in Fulton County, and now it's just another fundraising ploy. I swear it is some of the slimiest behavior I've encountered. And yeah, I want the shade from the Trumpsters because I'm calling a spade here, and I don't think it's right. But it intersects the crypto space, and that's why I think we have a leg to stand on to talk about it.
Oh man,
Yeah,
jeez, we didn't mention that in the pre-show, Brendan.
Sorry, I
But,
wanted to do it live. So
all right, let's go. Well, I'm kind of a Trump guy, so I'll bring the shade then. No, I actually agree with you though. I don't like the NFT stuff. Definitely not. I think the mugshot went pretty hard, so I do enjoy that. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, let's be honest. There's no way Trump knows how ETH works. You know what the space is. He doesn't understand any of this stuff. So he has a team around him that is putting this thing together, and it's not really great, for sure. But that being said, I mean, politics are dicey, and you do have to look at all the litigation that's going around, and he's facing heat, from a lot of directions, and things are expensive. So I can't really. I don't think I can knock any politician necessarily for their need to raise funds. Like I understand the game, but at the end of the day, you have to try to look at like, are they raising funds just to make? Is this just a grift? Is this just a way to make money and dip, or is there something actually behind it that they're going to do with this money, right? So it's the same thing you have to ask about anybody in Web3. Uh, what's the intentions behind the space? So I
I
understand. I
just
understand the criticism.
I just find it super funny because like all the celebrities were doing this. Oh, it's like he's in true Trump fashion. He's about 2 years late to the party. Now he probably wouldn't have been able to do stuff when he was actually president, but it's like, and he was pretty apprehensive and outspoken about crypto because it wasn't USD. And we're talking about somebody who's made a ton off of TradFi and
Mhm.
you know real estate and mortgages and mortgage debt specifically. That's how Trump really kind of made himself. He's probably one of the best salesmen ever. Like it's some of the top Barbara from Shark Tank has been on the record saying he's probably the most intelligent salesperson she's ever worked around or been in the same room as. So
Mhm.
credit where credit's due. The guy knows how to pitch, but I'm just like, man, this is so eerie and weird and just
Mhm.
like I have a hard time getting behind it personally. And I have some other thoughts on it too, based on the way the race is going and who
Well,
DeSantis has as donors. But
sure.
I could be wrong there too. So I don't try
Sure.
to go in those weeds too much.
Yeah, politics is a game, right? And I don't know. I'm not opposed to fundraising because that's what makes or breaks some
No, you
races,
need
right?
to. You have
Where
to.
somebody,
Yeah.
and I agree that the NFT thing is kind of weird. And then just to clarify, you said Solana, that they launched on Polygon, um,
Okay. Okay.
but
Thank you for
anyway, but
clarifying.
still, yeah. Anyway, to get off the politics train, although maybe not too far,
Yeah.
the I wanted to bring up this story. Riot, who is um, a Bitcoin mining company that operates in Texas, um, they are. I don't know if either of you guys remember. They actually put out that one video where they like put the. I'm still not sure if it was meant to be funny or not or serious. Where they put the like dioxide detector next to the Bitcoin miner, and they're like, "Look, it's zero carbon." Have you
I
guys
didn't see
seen
that.
that
No.
video?
No.
Oh, it
That's
was very
funny.
funny. It was like a commercial. They're
Probably
like,
so
"Look, we're green,"
Riot
because of
too. Riot and Marathon probably the top two Bitcoin mining
oh yeah,
stocks on the Nasdaq or S&P 500 too. So
yeah.
this is
No, they're
interesting.
big. They're
Yeah.
big. And so the story came out, I think the CNBC headline was that Texas had paid the my Riot, they had paid Riot like $30 million to turn off their Bitcoin miners. And so everyone was like, wait, what? Obviously it's good that they turn it off when there's high demand for energy and kind of a lower supply of energy so that people can, use it's very hot in Texas and people want to turn on their AC and stuff. And then Riot has spent the last few days trying to clarify that they were not paid to turn off the miners. There are two parts to it. One is they had prepaid for the electricity, and so that they were able to, when the demand is really high and the price of electricity goes up, they kind of sold those credits
Ah,
so that other people could then access. They said, hey, we're not using this, you all can access it. So you could imagine, right, if you buy electricity, they prepaid at I don't know, 2 cents a kilowatt hour, and then now it's 10 cents, and so they're making a little profit there.
I
And
would
then
say
the other
like if I'm a Riot though, like I have I would probably have made those investments to have a cheaper kilowatt per hour, by like
Yeah,
owning my like because I'm consuming so much of it. I need to make sure that my
yeah,
price stays very stable, if not lower than what the industry average is because of how much I'm consuming. So I have already made the
yeah.
strategic investments to pay a lower premium than most customers.
Yep. And I think they pay a premium, in order to prepay it at a
Yeah,
certain
yep.
rate.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
futures.
Yeah,
It's a futures contract, right? And they've said,
absolutely.
hey, we, are buying this much electricity at this rate, and so yeah, it makes sense. You
It's the
want
same with
stability there. If
airlines and fuel.
Yep. If electricity is going, at 1 cent, they're still paying the 2 cent rate, but
Mhm.
Yes.
then when electricity goes a lot higher, they can kind of sell that prepaid stuff. And then the other part is that I think ERCOT, ERCOT is the organization. They essentially are paying Riot, you know, uh, they said it's kind of like an insurance premium to be able to control when they have their electricity on and off. And so that like Riot is getting paid by somebody else who is able to then turn their electricity off when there's high demand. And so anyways,
So
that's where
our
the all the money came from. It was not that they got paid to turn it off, but they
side
got paid
tangent
to
is
control it.
Riot becoming a secondary electricity broker then basically?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you a broker when you buy and sell future contracts, or you're using the broker?
You are
But
kind of because I mean you do that with freight.
all right,
Well,
maybe I don't know enough
well,
about
I think
futures.
another piece of this is that really, when you think about it, like this is exactly what Ben Kincaid was telling us, about how they work with the Africa power
Yeah,
grid. Um, this is essentially a version of that. That basically, and the dots finally connected to me because I read this tweet from Nick Crota. Um, we basically explained, like, in Texas, people can complain about this, but like in Texas, they've switched to a lot of wind and solar energy, and
Yep.
because of that, the power grid is somewhat unstable, meaning they don't always have, the production of how much energy they're getting is kind of up and down. And so the problem with that is, of course, if you have a population in Texas and they need the power, and if it's going up and down, then sometimes people are going to be short. So they basically need to overproduce. They need more energy so that it can take into account all the fluctuations without anybody losing power. But then if you're doing that, you have all of this, this top space, basically energy that is fluctuating, that is not profitable because it's not stable enough to sell almost. But where that works is if these miners can come in and they can shut down easily, so they can buy that power cheap, and when it does fluctuate, then they don't produce, but when it's up, they're producing, and they're willing to do that because it's easy to switch the miners on and off as needed. So it basically makes all of that fluctuating power usable, and then the power companies are now able to make a profit and make this unstable grid work. Um, so in that sense, like, if they're going to pre-sell it and they're going to become a broker of it, not the worst thing in the world. And it's the same thing with solar. When people produce solar, um, if
Yeah.
you put solar panels on your roof, like you're basically selling power to the power companies. That's
Energy
usually how
companies.
states
Yep.
make it
Yep.
work. Yeah. So are you a broker in that case? I wouldn't say so, but yeah.
You're an
Um,
extension of the overall grid. So
you're adding to the grid. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're adding to the
Yeah.
grid, sure.
It'll be interesting to see if more companies try to do something like this. We'll see what happens down the line because I know there's a lot of grid infrastructure that needs to get upgraded and fixed across the country, especially, as fiber is getting put in certain areas for faster internet speeds. It's a big demand out there because not everybody has access to the fiber connection for Wi-Fi. It all depends on the region of the country that you're in. It was weird. I was in one side of town over a month ago where I live. I didn't have fiber. Move over where I am now. I'm connected to fiber now, and my internet's
Mhm.
much faster. I didn't really notice it all that much until everything got connected when I moved here. But it's kind of interesting how it can even be so close as like a couple
Mhm.
miles away. So it's interesting from that standpoint. Um, Last thing I'd like to talk about here. All right, where was it? Oh, yeah, okay. Ben Armstrong, Bitboy Crypto. Matt, you were on vacation, and honestly, I didn't have hadn't been really paying all that much attention to it. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Just it's always interesting because it. I'm not saying it's similar to O'Keefe and Project Veritas, but it has a similar vibe to it where they
Yep.
basically got rid of their founder. Ben's always been a little outspoken. He's definitely not as cool as James O'Keefe, in my opinion, from Project Veritas. Just to preface that, but Ben did a good job of exposing, doing stuff in real time and exposing some of the things in crypto. But he also kind of had some unsavory approaches to things, to put it politely. So, any thoughts on Ben? He's honestly one of my on ramps when I was really diving into crypto. Honestly, first time I heard him was on Graham Stephan's podcast, the Iced Coffee Hour. It he and it kind of drove me down a rabbit hole that kind of got me connected to a lot of people that I'm connected to now, for better or worse, I should say. But yeah, it's I'm not surprised, honestly. I feel
Mhm.
like this was it. You say crazy things happen, right?
Yeah, he's a little manic. He's always been that way. So, um,
Yeah,
as much as I would, I never listened to Ben. I never really followed his. I don't think I've actually watched a single YouTube video of his. So
I,
I don't really have like
I
the personal experience
was just
there.
gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, uh, as much as I would like to say like, you know, positive things or whatnot, um, I really don't understand enough about Ben. But from what I have seen, I can kind of understand why his company, might need to put some walls up there. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's hey, everybody kind of has to make their way in this space the best way they can, and I know Ben's going to try to do something different, and we have to see how successful that is. But at the very least, it does show you kind of the need for some of these maybe decentralized tools, right? If you found and you get kicked out of your company, it's like, I don't know, it's just another way that
it's.
centralized tech and centralized businesses can kind of wield that power.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I think it's gonna be tough. Like Ben's gonna probably have to be his like version of Infowars, essentially. um and then there's going to be people that like it's going to be like, oh my gosh, there's that crazy guy saying crazy things on his little platform there. Like he's not, I don't anticipate him like getting to that Alex Jones level, like no way. But like, but that's kind of how it's kind of like he's getting pushed out on the periphery a little bit because of
Hmm.
his approach to doing things.
Yeah.
And I don't even
So
know if a lot of what he says is true sometimes.
so I'm on the same with Connor. Like I don't think I've watched a single video from him. Like I've only like, you know, I I don't know. I feel like I don't quite get the like Bitcoin and crypto like influencer space. Like
Yeah.
I got in by trying to understand the technology, and then like I I don't know. Maybe I was influenced without knowing I was influenced, but I don't know. I hear people just drop names all the time, and I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Ben and
But I
Bitboy
will.
Crypto was the biggest platform on YouTube that
He
anybody
was. We had
had.
to give him credit for
And
that.
yeah, he has the largest platform, or he had the largest platform, I should say. And some stuff that always got me frustrated was when he would talk about a project on his channel, it would be too little, too late for anybody to get in at a floor level. So there was he would a lot of times I wonder like if he was sometimes talking about projects just to be able to help raise their floor as opposed to actually finding value in the projects for what they were doing themselves. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, so he's trying to create
But
like social arbitrage without there actually being a real arbitrage to
sure.
socialize about.
It, I got you. One thing I just wonder, right? Because we're saying he has to start over. Like he's the face of Bitboy Crypto, right? So like anybody who's watched that knows who he is. Like if
Yeah.
Well,
anything,
it's the
I
same
don't know
with
what they're
Project
gonna do.
Veritas, Matt.
Like what are
Everybody knows who James O'Keefe is.
So when we say he has to start over, he no
yeah,
longer has
but
access to
Project
his Twitter account and he no longer has access to his YouTube channel. Like he doesn't have the access anymore. So he has to start a new
yeah,
YouTube
but you
channel
know
and
what
a
I'm
new.
saying?
Yeah.
Like yeah, he'll do new things, but like as soon as he posts a video with his face on it, like everybody knows it's him. So everybody who
Yeah.
followed Bitboy Crypto because they liked him, not because
Yeah.
they liked, you know, what
Well,
everyone was
everybody,
doing in the
yeah, but
background.
there's a lot of people you follow, that follow you that then aren't going to make the transition because maybe they don't see you or
Sure.
maybe they don't follow Web3 that much. So there's still like a little bit
Yeah.
of ground floor that you
I
have to
don't
kind
know.
of rebuild.
I'll say
I wonder what
everybody
Bitboy Crypto is going to become.
like
You
outside of you two, everybody that watches like crypto YouTube content, if you've ever had any exposure to that, you have an opinion about Bitboy Crypto and
Hmm.
Ben Armstrong. And I'm not gonna lie, like Bitboy Crypto had a lot of good educational tools on their channel for like teaching people how to use a ledger properly. There's a lot of great educational pieces on that channel, and that organization does a really good job of educating the masses. However, things would always get a little bit dicey and controversial when Ben would go on some of his individual tangents, and I wonder if he would have kept that more separate from Bitboy Crypto if he wouldn't have kind of found himself in hotter water than he probably assumed he would ever get in. So that's just my take on it. I know
Gotcha.
that I'm a small fish in this pond, and what we do here is a little bit different. And I know that Ben is a fellow Christian as well, but um, I can question motives like anybody else. So that's just my
Yeah.
take on it.
Cool. Well, okay. So this is like a 25-minute news episode, but we that's fine. I just wanted to quickly before we close go over two other items and I'll just mention them and if anybody wants to jump in and say something you can. But I think it's relevant enough this week that we should at least mention it. One, Bitcoin Drivechains. This is a huge discussion right now. You can find a lot of information on both sides about this on Twitter. It's essentially what it is a way to um, scale Bitcoin and create a second layer platform. From what I understand, Drivechains are kind of like an L2 in a way. And there's a discussion about whether or not that should be a thing on Bitcoin. And then the other thing is also Bitcoin related is Swan Bitcoin, the custodian. And there's custodian troubles in this space in general. So I'm not going to entirely blame them for this because there's not like a whole lot of alternatives. However, the custodian, Fortress, has been bought by Ripple, so XRP essentially. And so now their custodian is an XRP, right? This is a crypto project that Swan Bitcoin is vehemently against. And, people are obviously bringing up that, okay, this is kind of a problem. And Swan Bitcoin says, hey, we're in discussions about this, but they don't have plans to change custodians right now. Whether they should or not, that's like an open discussion.
When you need capital, it's always interesting when you see people's true colors. You know what I
True.
mean?
Yeah.
You compromise on a lot of things sometimes when you're in the when the frog's getting boiled, proverbially speaking.
Yeah, maybe we'll do an episode on Swan Bitcoin at some point in the future. But
Wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah.
Matt, anything to add there about drive chains though? Before
yeah,
was my
so
information accurate enough?
it's yeah, it just there's like a number of proposals out there to help scale Bitcoin, and they would be um, adding layer twos like on Ethereum, or a drive chain is a sort of side chain that's secured by Bitcoin miners. So Bitcoin does not currently have the capability to make something like a layer two on Ethereum. And so this is one of the solutions, which instead of having, a multi-sig, instead of having a smart contract that allows, for people to send transactions back and forth to, because that's not possible yet, this proposal would essentially make the miners the multi-sig, and that,
Huh.
these transactions to and from the drive chain are essentially, agreed upon by the miners. And I don't know. I need to dig more into it, but it's, it helps the pros. What people, like about it is that it would, it would help increase miner fees, because then they would also be collecting, fees off the other side of this block, this other side chain. They'd be mining both at the same time, in a sense. And then, people who want to develop things, they say, hey, we want to develop things on Bitcoin. A lot of the pro drive chain people are saying, hey, anyone who's anti drive chain, also, in conversation becomes like, not anti Bitcoin, but like pro altcoin. Because someone says, hey, well, what if I want a drive chain, a side chain that has the security that Monero has? And they say, just use Monero. And it's like, are you encouraging me to use Monero? Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then the anti drive chain people, they just want to be skeptical of, um, any changes to Bitcoin, any soft forks, anything, especially after Taproot. I think they're a little shell shocked. Although, so drive chain, I don't know the exact date of the proposal, but in all this discourse on Twitter, I've seen people reference that this actually has been a proposal for several years now. So it's just resurfacing, maybe, gaining a little bit of popularity here and there. But
Interesting.
interested to see where it goes.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, people can check that out, and you can find a lot of information about that on Twitter. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and link if anybody wants to listen to it. But great episode with Vlad talking about drive change on his channel. I thought it was interesting, so I'll just link that in the description for people if they want to check out more. But other than that, hey, great news episode here. A lot of stuff happening, and we're happy to jump in. Now, if you're listening on the podcast, we're going to go straight into our interview with Jay Chen. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to have to click over to that video to watch our interview about Light DAO with Jay. So we'll link that in the description as well. But let's jump into it.